worst playground game ever. So maybe some of you are unfamiliar with the picture I just showed you, or it might go by a different name depending on where you're from, but that was a game called Tetherball. And in modern times, it's just like a volleyball attached to a string, not a big deal. Back in the 80s, it was a hollowed out wrecking ball attached to a string. Unless you were very tall or wearing gloves, you did not have a good time. And in the end, nobody ever wanted to play that game. But I digress. Welcome, traders, to the Indicator Profile series. It's the Tether Line Indicator today. Interesting one, as a lot of these typically are. Does interesting equal good? We'll find out. But first, understand, if you're new, welcome. This is the premier indicator channel in all of YouTube. Always was, always will be, but we do things a certain way, we talk a certain way, we trade a certain way, and if you don't know those things, then you're wasting your time. Go to nononsenseforex.com, read that first page, watch that first video, get caught up. It's worth it. But for the rest of us, let's go ahead and get into the specs of the Tether Line Indicator. This was created in 2020 by an anonymous shadowy supercoder. Ooh. The type is going to be a baseline, and it's a color change baseline. You'll see what I mean in a moment, but as far as exit indicators go, you guys know my feelings on this. We just need to go ahead and move on to the indicator itself because there is quite a bit to talk about this week. So here is what it looks like on the default settings. You'll notice two things. It is a baseline, but it changes colors when there is a signal. Now you'll also notice these gaps. There's going to be a lot of what we talk about this week. I don't know why this indicator insists on doing this. We cannot fix it. It just does this. But whenever you do get a signal, the line not only changes colors, it also disappears. Now, if you know this, it's not a big deal. But it's just a little bit annoying and unnerving at first. So what we did is we made it a regular baseline because that's what it is and that's how it operates. And we also kind of showed it to you this way and turned the candles into bars to maybe make it easier so you can see these gaps. You'll notice every time price crosses and closes either above or below, the line just completely disappears. You'll notice over here you have a big gap. Why do you think that is? Well, it's obvious because you got a bunch of signals in a row. We even zoom in on this further, ripping another picture from Dan's blog. So what's going on here is this red line is just for illustration purposes. That's not what actually happens. What really happens is this red line doesn't exist, and you just have this big air gap of nothingness. But the reason why it's happening is because you had a signal right here, and then a signal right after it, and then a signal right after it, and a signal right after it. You had all that chop. And so if you see this, the baseline is going to completely disappear. But again, if you know why this is happening, and if you know this is just one of those things that's kind of entrenched in the code, it's a normal baseline. It's just not going to look completely like a normal baseline once you get a signal. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass optically. But I guess at the end of the day, is this pain in the ass worth dealing with? Let's check the results. Before we do that, understand that these tests could have been done a while back. Sometimes we sandbag these and things aren't done the day of. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But it doesn't matter because all that does matter is how it performs in your system. Don't get too excited over great results. Don't get too let down over poor results. Test this in your system all the time. It's the only thing that matters here. Also, down below, we hook you up. We give you my automation blog, or a link to it at least, and which has an embedded video on how to test this yourself on the MT4 strategy tester. Also, a link to Dan's blog. A lot of good stuff in the blog this week, including all the pictures I ripped, including that tetherball picture. Thank you, Dan, for that. Also, you get his YouTube channel, which has a supplemental video that you can watch right after this video if you want to see how this thing actually moves in real time. And with that gapping, you might want to do that. Things like that. You're going to want to check that video out as well. We also give you a second email address if you want to submit an indicator to be shown on the Indicator Profile series. We have done, to my knowledge, 3 of those so far. Next one could be you. And then, as always, a link down below to where you can download any of these indicators you have seen on the indicator profile series, including this one. Now, let's go ahead and check the results for the Tether Line baseline indicator. EURUSD, strong. And not strong with a tiny amount of trades, strong with a decent amount of trades, with a good win percentage and a nice ROI, and pretty much the same thing on the 4-hour. This is absolutely what I like to see, and we are off to a good start. Moving over to gold, probably less so here. As far as gold goes, you guys know we've shown some really great results. Again, it all depends on how it does in your system. Again, it's not a confirmation indicator, it's a baseline. But 14% while strong, we have certainly shown stronger. And, 5.5% down there is really nothing to write home about or really nothing to concern yourself with. Over to the S&P. Strong again. Quite strong. You guys know how the S&P goes. These are really, really great numbers, especially that 15.5% down on the 4-hour. This is the second or third time I've seen markedly better results on the S&P 500 on the 4-hour chart. Maybe that's the way. Who knows? But either way, everything about this I really like on the S&P. So 2 out of 3. That's great. Let's take it home with Bitcoin. Damn good. When's the last time we saw over 30% on this? It's been a while. We've certainly shown them to you, but I can't recall in the last couple of months or so us showing you an indicator with a plus 30% result on Bitcoin. So that's really nice. Now down here, you notice the green. That's just us telling you that we couldn't do better than the actual default. You can certainly try, but if we couldn't improve on a 7.4% return, it's like, how much better are you really going to be able to do? Maybe, who knows, but odds are probably not good. You can probably skip this right here, but this here, awfully nice. Not the highest amount of trades, but solid in my book. So I think we definitely have a big winner this week if you're willing to put up with the goofy optics. So there it is. We hope you enjoyed. And just so you know, we do this every week. We also do my Trading Psychology podcast every Monday, blog every Thursday, and the 10-Minute Contrarian Investing podcast every Saturday. Is there anything financially this channel cannot do? Even if you're somebody who doesn't subscribe to a lot of channels, subscribe, hit the bell. It's worth it. You're going to love it. Go get it.